afternoon. This is Abigail Bible Believing Answers, and I am your host, Dr. Ruby Abigail. I hope you all had a great start this week, this month, the 12th month, our last month in a year that has brought a lot of conversation about relationships. Because as you know, we've all been confined in with our spouses, our family, our children, our friends that are very close. Some have to be eliminated, unfortunately, and definitely our church community has been at a distance. But for the most part, we've been having to evaluate our relationships with our close proximity where spouses are spending more time together at home. They're not able to go out and work. Children are being homeschooled. They're not being able to go out to the various schools or jobs or college and things like that. So let's talk about it. It referencing interesting topics, and we're wanting to have a roundtable panel discussion, and it's set for December the 19th, 2020, from 1 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon to 3 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. And we would like for you to call in and participate in this discussion. This discussion is based on what God said in Genesis 2:18. And this is the King James Version. The Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. And that is the New Living Translation. So let's talk about it. Getting intimate and dating down and dirty. So for singles, let's discuss a few questions. Are you currently dating? Are you engaged? Are you in an entanglement? Are you in a situationship? Are you in a partnership? Or are you, quote, legally separated? But so, when would you consider dating enough? So I'm going to pose, I'm going to have my co-host, Letitia Spikes, on co-hosting with me on December the 19th. And this are a few questions she would like to ask you, among others. And these are just a few questions to get your wheels turning and bring your question and comments to the round table. Is it okay to date someone who is in the middle of a divorce and or maybe giving you the line that, you know, they're in the process of signing their papers or they're waiting for their spouse to sign off or come to a amicable agreement about the divorce and currently are not living together? Or basically, if there's an instance, are you okay to date this person that's in the process of divorcing and maybe even living in the same dwelling or, you know, home or apartment? You know, they're still living in the same confines, but they're, quote, living in separate compartments within this home. And the other question Letitia is asking is, if you are dating, especially young men and women, are you heading toward marriage? And so you're ready into this premarital state with your relationship and you're what we would call engaged, do you participate in premarital sex? Let's get intimate with this conversation. Let's get down and dirty, to get to the nucleus of dating. What would you consider reasonable? Because most people, and sometimes this is not to bring shade on men, but a lot of times the female may be willing to abstain, and the man would say, well, even though we're talking about people that may be practicing abstinency or maybe for religious reason don't want to participate in premarital sex, but then the other person will say, I need to know if this person is compatible in that area, as the reasoning engaged person, especially even if they're saved, will feel that they can justify premarital sex. So let's talk about that as well. And then for the marriage couples, those that are married, we want you to call in as well. You're definitely a high priority in this conversation because we're experiencing a culture, and I was sad to find out that a lot of people are dating 5, 10, 15, 20 years with no expectation to be married, or they're living what you would call common law and having whole children, whole families with no commitment or expectation for marriage. Just this month, one of the forefront people, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, just got married after 37 years of dating. Quote, dating. Was that dating? Was that situationship? Was that entanglement? I mean, what was that? One of the big celebrities, Oprah Winfrey and Stedman, they're still dating. They've been dating over 20 years. What is that? Is that a situationship? Is that a lifetime partner? What are we calling these relationships now? What are the dynamics of that? And then, the Smiths, Jada and Will came out at the red table and said that they agreed for this life partnership, which involved entanglement, where their marriage is open to have intimacy with other people, and they've agreed to that. It's a new twist on what was originally designed for monogamous between two human beings, and now it's getting to where these new definitions are coming out. And do people really respect what we call the marriage vows? Or are they trying to live common law? Or after 20 years of dating, or 20 years saying you're separated, you were married, but you're 20 years separated with never getting a divorce. We need to talk about that. We need to get down, because they're dating and they're both going on with their life and having whole families with other people, but they're, quote, still married to each other. And legally, if something happened to one of them, the government will have to respect their marriage, and they're still the next of kin. So what happens to this other family that they started in this, quote, legal separation? So let's talk about this marriage vows. Are you willing to stick it out to the marriage vows that really come down to the love for each other that you've vowed for, the love to protect, serve, and communicate with each other? Now, a lot of times we look at the offset of the vows that say, sickness and health, but I don't want to deal with the health. Let's deal with the sickness, richness and poorness. We're not going to talk about the richness. Let's talk about the poorness, especially during this time of the pandemic when people have lost jobs, when people have lost their careers and their vital way to support themselves and their families, for better or for worse. Let's not talk about the better. Let's talk about the worst, how things are being compromised. To death do us part. Are we talking about spiritual death while we still living? Are we talking about physical death? Or are we talking about the death to sacrifice and not be selfish, to be able to die for the other person? Would you die for your spouse? Are you in a godly covenant union, or are you programmed into a loveless marriage? What are the pros and cons of your marriage? Are your pros love, respect, communication, rediscovering the newness of your relationship daily with your spouse? Are you skilled when it comes to arguments? Because arguments are going to come up, but have you learned how to fight fair? Or are you focusing more on the cons? Are you into this marriage because of sex, your lust, your attraction physically to this person? Are you in this marriage, or you want to marry someone because it's financial lucrative for you? Are you in a business with them? You have single people that starting whole businesses together. They're buying homes together and they have no expectation to get married. What do you think about? Let's talk about that. Children. Are you in this marriage because you have children or because of the family image? You have people that are raising families that have no intentions of getting married, or they're in a dead marriage or marriage that is loveless, and they're saying they're staying for the children. Well, when the children finish school, when the children finish college, I don't know. Let's talk about it. The cons of marriage: anger and death. You're dying, you're angry daily. I've heard where one person hated to go home after work, and they had to pull over to a gas station and literally gurgitate up their lunch because they was that sick to even think about going home to their spouse. Let's talk about this anger and these loveless marriages that's spiritually dead. These marriages that have unmet expectations. These marriages that have treachery. And these marriages where the spouses are hindering each other. These are just some of the topics, some of the subject matter, some of the content, some of the narrative that myself, Dr. Ruby Abigail, and Minister Letitia Spikes will be discussing with you on Saturday, December the 19th, next week. Please join us on Zoom. We will put the link in the description box, as well as you can email us at abigail825.wa@gmail.com, or you will be able to call in live, and we'll have these numbers available at 1-518-652-7053. Remember, you were never designed to be alone, for the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. And I would love for you to join me at the round table panel discussion. Let's talk about this interesting topic: relationships, getting intimate, and dating down and dirty.